I always think I'm the most handsome guy in the room until you walked in. All right, you're amazing. Hey, everybody, welcome to the first book club of 2026. Woo! Yeah, woo! Let's have a big hello from the boys.
Yeah!
A big hello from the girls. Woo! Nice, I like it. How are we getting on with our New Year's resolutions, Sonia?
Under the spot. I didn't have one this year.
What?
No.
Who'd had one? Somebody must have had one, failed miserably. It's like me giving up alcohol.
I did too, until the second.
yeah, totally. Hey, we're super excited to have you back. For the new people that are here, like you're going to find that this is a wee bit loose. This isn't your this isn't your kind of normal sort of safety event. Like there'll be lots of swearing and stuff like that, but don't worry, we'll cut you out. All right. Well, again, it's great to have all you guys here. My name's Steve Harvey, not to be confused with the guy from Family Feud. All right, just in case you're wondering. Well, you didn't think so? You were worried about there? You're like, God, that's a guy from Family Feud. Same kind of teeth. But again, welcome, and I tell you what, we are bloody super excited to have Sally here. So, I feel kind of wanted to have you for ages, Sally. I remember reaching out to you, it was like a year and a bit ago or something. When's your book coming? When's your book coming? When's your book coming? We'd love to have you. So this is a real great honour for me to have Sally come and talk to you guys. It's going to be amazing fun. But first, Gary was wanting to have a chat. We need to thank Gary for sponsorship. As always, these things can stay free of charge because of our amazing sponsors. So do you want to come up and say hello to the team?
Oh, okay. Nothing like being thrust into the spotlight, is it? I don't need that, mate.
Oh.
Can everyone hear me?
Oh, well, if you read,
on camera, guys.
if you read Sally's book, she'll tell you about the microphone.
Is that good, Josh?
It's just no picture behind you.
Look, it's our pleasure to be the sponsors tonight. They're a good bunch of people that we've known for quite a while. How many years now, Steve? Three years?
2 months.
3 years and 2 months.
3 years and 2 months, yeah.
We met in prison.
Cam and I are thrilled to be here and sponsoring tonight. Cam's part of the business as well. So I'll keep it short because it's not about me tonight, it's about you, Sally. It's all about you. So look, if anybody wants to talk to us about making your culture visible, your thinking decisive, and your leadership practical, come and have a chat about what the Ringo product can do. That's all I'm going to say. But one thing that never seems to happen here, and I'm going to take the opportunity, I want you all to put your hands together for Josh and Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
We'll give you the
that.
money afterwards.
Yeah, no. yeah. Thank you for your money.
We've got to do that. Thank you, Ringo. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Well, without further ado, I'm going to. You probably don't remember this, but do you remember you taught me to say one Aussie word? So I've worked with Sally in the past. It was about 6 years ago we worked together, and so Sally taught me how to say cow rather than cow. And so all that work we've done together, and that's all I remember. Nah, absolutely not. She's amazing, but we did some work together, and I would love you to do it now, because we're going to talk for maybe the next 45 minutes. These guys are going to be listening, but they are going to be talking soon. So can we do the voice exercises with the guys and get them prepared for speaking?
Diving right in. Yes. Hello. Great to see you here. So yes, part of the work we do with voice is doing a voice warm-up, which is not something that you might think of very much, although I was asked today about how drunk talk comes about, because you might have seen Danica Mason from Channel 9, who had a little incident on TV where she slurred some of her words when she was reporting from the Winter Olympics. And yeah, so there are a lot of muscles that go into speaking, your jaw, your lips, your soft palate, a whole lot of different things. To start off, I might do an exercise which seems to be a crowd favourite. It's called the surprised donkey. And something that happens a lot in Australia, and especially among the beautiful men among us, is they don't like to open their jaw when they speak. Hey mate, how you going? Oh yeah. I don't know why this country hasn't produced more ventriloquists, because Not a lot of people are opening their jaw. And so one of the best things you can do to make your speech clearer, especially with a big crowd, especially when you're outside or in a big warehouse situation, is to open your jaw more than what you normally would when you're speaking close to somebody. And so the surprise donkey goes like this. The donkey goes, E-or, and the surprise goes, ah. So, E-or-ah. Are we ready for it? Have we had enough drinks for this? So 3, 2, 1, E-or-ah. And if you are around people that might hear you and wonder, you know, if you're okay, you can do this silently as well. So just a... Well, you have to be kind of, you know, hiding behind a toilet cubicle or something like that. But another good one, this is not so much a speech exercise, but if you're feeling a bit nervous before you need to speak and you're, you know, sitting down, ready to come up, or you're waiting in the wings, if you clench your bottom, it's not a conventional one, but if you do as tight as you can, it will help with those nerves, because we don't want to get rid of the butterflies, we just want them flying in formation. So if we can channel that energy somewhere, and not a lot of people can notice, unless they're really up and close and personal, but generally it's one that you can get away with, and it's a good little hack if you're wanting to, you know, calm the nerves before you speak. Oh, and an added benefit, good for posture as well.
Yeah.
Don't shoot yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Stop the filming.
This is why ergonomic assessments are really great for voice, because chances are, you know, you're just slumping like this,
Yeah, totally.
opening up here, shoulders back.
Yeah. What's the other one you do? Like, you know, we do that. I should have done it before I met you. I was like, you taught me all these things. Like,
Yeah, I think from memory we were talking about doing safety briefings, and as part of it, it was needing to use the chemical shower if you've got covered in something. But you were saying people didn't understand you because you were saying it's the chemical shore, and they were like, the what? And I was like, okay, well, you know, when it comes to, I talk about this in the book, accents are a wonderful thing. When people say to me, I want to reduce my accent or change my accent, I'm like, oh, we don't want to turn you into a Queenslander, you know, and I think we'll agree that Steve's accent's beautiful. It's part of who we are. So we don't want to change that. But if we're in a situation where it's people's safety and they're not hearing clearly what we're saying, then we've got a problem. So that's why we were working on the shower.
Yeah. I always remember that. That was brilliant. And you did say that about my accent, because I always remember going, Sally, how can I dull this down a wee bit? How can I? Because it's just so strong. But I'm really proud of it, and I'm a really proud Glaswegian. I've lived in Australia longer than I've lived in Scotland, by the way. And you said that, oh no, don't. We're really, you should be really proud of it. And that was like, wow, that was a great moment. But thank you for showing us how to do these exercises. So we'll get straight into it. Sally, why did you write a book? Why would you put yourself through it?
Well, the writing process came quite quickly. I wrote the book in about 2 weeks. It was the editing process that took a longer time. And I've been doing this kind of work since I was 16 years old. And I talk about, in the book, putting a stake in your sound. So putting a stake in the ground, putting a stake in your sound. And I suppose for me, I was feeling like it was time to put my approach on paper, put some of the stories on paper, and really just show people that you can indeed write a whole book just about voice, which was some of the feedback I got, going, you don't even talk about public speaking hardly at all. It's all about voice. How is there so much to it?
Yeah, no, they're amazing. Yeah, totally. I did read, when I was reading the book through that, I was like, like, you're not, there's a tips for people like me who do comedy and all that sort of stuff. But it was an excellent read. You've worked in TV, radio, news. You've been on the telly a fair few times. How can you be credible when the stakes are high? What's this sort of...
It's a bit like the duck. So you're saying yes, and inside, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say. What's coming up next? Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely working to deadlines. So there was a saying, it's never the best you can do, it's always the best you can do by deadline. And the most important thing was accuracy. But this is what also kept me going with the book, giving myself this deadline to work towards. Mm-hmm. And having done live crosses, the adrenaline is unlike anything I've experienced, except perhaps being in the waiting room for Taylor Swift tickets. But you just go into that performance mode, and all of the training comes to the fore. And I'm sure everybody can relate to that. With the thing that you're good at, that you've trained at, that you have experience at, when the stakes are high and the pressure's on, you're able to draw on that muscle memory. So this is why I am such a proponent of voice coaching and voice training, because communication is one of the things that you don't want to go when the stakes get high, and especially in this room, you are communicating things that are often a matter of life and death for people. So it's really important that you're able to be clear and get it right. As I say in the book as well, so many failed military operations or aviation disasters, they pretty much always come down to some kind of breakdown or misunderstanding in communication. So it's that important.
Yeah, totally. Sally, you talked, it was something I never really thought about. You were talking about AI, voice security, and like AI is just amazing now, isn't it? Like the way that's come forward, and I don't know, like if you use ChatGPT now and you're talking to it, it's just like having a conversation with somebody. It's just incredible. But I wonder if you could give us some tips on protecting your voice.
Yeah, the chapter's called the VP Black Market, because they say they only need a couple of seconds of your voice to create a convincing clone. And fraudsters are using this technology to phone you. So you might be like, oh, I can tell that's a scam text, or I can tell that's an email. I haven't been, given money by a Nigerian prince. But the thing with a voice, if you answer the phone and it sounds like someone you know, especially someone you love, like a child or a parent, hearing a voice bypasses the logical part of the brain and goes straight to the limbic system. And so we're acting on instinct, not on logic. And so it's really dangerous. And I share a story about a woman in America whose daughter was on a ski trip. And she's like, Mum, these bad men have me. And they were threatening to dump her body in Mexico and all of this. It was finally revealed that it was all a hoax. They were asking for $1 million. And, you can imagine the stress of it. And at the end, the police said, oh, well, no crime's been committed. We can't do anything. And she was just left with no recourse. So I say, come up with a safe word to escape the bondage of voice fraud. So this is a bit of fun. Come up with a safe word that you can say. The next one is a voice verification question. So what is a question that only the person knows the answer to? And you might have to think about this. Like even travel and birthdays, like so much is online. So it needs to be completely offline. And get into the habit of asking. I really believe as we go forward, asking somebody to verify their identity on the phone is going to become as commonplace as locking your front door.
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah. So if you ever think you're being scammed by me, just ask who is the greatest football club in the world.
Rangers.
Glasgow Celtic, and you will find.
You've never posted that anywhere.
You get that.
Password last in 67.
What's that?
Password last in 67.
Yeah, totally. Sally, we obviously in our industry we have to deliver messages and need to be technically correct and that sort of thing. You do lots of work with leaders and teams. What have you found is the kind of gaps that they might have when trying to deliver a message that is correct, but they might not be able to get their message across?
Yeah, it's all in the delivery, isn't it? They say that a well-delivered lie is more believable than a poorly delivered truth. It's not a great piece of information, but people who talk the talk are running rings around people who walk the walk and don't talk the talk. And you experience this frustration. People that don't really know what they're talking about, that have influence. People that say the same thing that you just said, and you're like, am I on mute? I just said that. All of a sudden it's the best idea. And so we know the difference isn't what we're saying, it's the way that we're saying it. And one thing I speak about in the book, which isn't spoken about that much in my area, is the position that you're speaking from the body with. So what does that mean? So if you want to deliver a message about caring about safety, right? You really genuinely care about people. But that message is delivered up in the head. So, it's really important to us. We have to do our safety checks and this is how it works. It's not believable because it sounds of the mind, not of the heart. So you want to be producing that sound in your chest to be able to show that you really care. Mm-hmm. And take your pauses.
Yeah.
You know, just because you stop speaking doesn't mean you stop communicating. And the world is so noisy at the moment. I mean, I'm guilty of this. I often have 20 tabs open and I'm watching Netflix and have my phone, and it's called media snacking. It's not good. I'm working on it. But, but what that tells us is that it's harder and harder. Like even right now, that no one's on their phone and they're all listening to what we're saying. You might even be finding this a little bit difficult. You know, attention spans are getting shorter.
Yeah.
And we each have our voice is one of the most powerful things that we can do to captivate not just someone's mind but their hearts, because we know that people decide on emotion and justify on logic. So it has to be more than just something that makes sense to them. It has to be something that they feel, and something that they feel is real. We spoke about AI. You know, I'm excited for this kind of work. I believe the organic human voice is going to become more and more important. People are going to be wanting to hear from people. Even now, you know, you're on the scroll, you're like, you know, is that real? To the point where, like, building in stumbles. I'm not saying you do it on purpose, but like not worrying about it. If you hear someone stumble, you go, well, at least I know it's them. Which is more important. Rapport is way more important than perfection. I say people want realness, they don't want flawless. And in our bid to be perfect and say the right thing, we often lose the very thing that connects us, which is just people having a chat.
Yeah. You talked about flawless. Like when I do this, people go, "Oh yeah, that's definitely Steve." He's like, he's a... but I met see Brené Brown in 2018, and she was talking about AI. She was like, "It's coming. It's definitely it is going to take your jobs, but it'll never replace humour, connection, and just like being human." I've never forgotten that, and that's why I really worked hard on humour and even teaching my kids, you know, to like make sure that we're connecting with people properly. Because you're right, it's going to be that thing that makes you stand out from everyone else, isn't it? Like
and one of the best pieces of feedback I got was people sort of, as I was reading the book, those who know me were like, I could hear you saying it, I could hear your voice, because I don't think that AI would write such corny jokes, to be honest.
Yeah, I was reading it in your voice too. Like when I was reading it, it was like, Sally, yeah, I could imagine you doing that too. So yeah, that's cool. I just have to go back a wee bit. You're talking about media snacking. I've never heard that term before, but I know that like the Netflix producers and the TV producers are talking about how they can make these shows easier to understand or go back to because you're on your phone, and you know that's it's amazing. Yeah, it's like attention spans have just been ripped away. But,
yeah, well, I know in our households, if we're watching a movie and we're not like fully into it after 25 minutes, we're like, oh, we're going to try something else. You know, like, let's get off this. I'm like, growing up, we used to watch a show with ads and then wait until the next week to pick it up again. Yeah.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Hey, I need to talk to you about this one. You talk about voice cupid, and it's like hating the sound of your own voice. And that, like, I definitely was like that. I was like, oh my God, like, that's not me, it can't be me. It just sounds totally different. I've kind of got used to it now. Like, I kind of understand, but just because so much media and doing stuff like this, I was wondering if you could help us understand how to fall in love with your own voice.
Yes, don't hate your voice, date your voice. So that's why the chapter's called Operation Voice Cupid. So the reason that who here doesn't like the sound of their voice played back? Yeah, it's a pretty common thing. It's called voice confrontation. The part of the reason is when we speak, we hear our voice through bone conduction, like through our skull. We have inbuilt shower voice. You know how you sound better in the shower. But when we hear a recording, it's through air conduction, so it actually does sound worse when we hear it. But I think part of it, I wrote an article actually about this on LinkedIn today. Part of it is to do with messages growing up where we're told, you know, you're too loud, or then speak up. You're speaking too much, you're not speaking enough. And so we've got a lot of this subliminal messaging that our voice isn't something to be proud of. So that's definitely part of it. Familiarity builds fondness. So start listening to your voice and hearing it as though it's a stranger. Be objective. Because we don't often go, oh my gosh. Oh, it's dead.
Yeah, I know it's
hello,
happening.
Hello. Oh, no, we're back. You wouldn't say mean things about your friend's voice, but often with your own voice, you're like, ooh, I don't like it.
Oh, jeez. That's the first time this has happened.
Yeah. Is yours still working?
I think so.
No, it's not. This is working.
Let me just check.
Swap.
What about now?
We'll have to cut this bit out so you can swear as much as you like now.
No, I think we're back.
We're back.
It's important because if we don't think our voice has influence, how can we expect it to have influence?
Oh my
I
God.
don't know what it is.
Yeah, there they are.
Try this one.
Yeah.
Testing, testing.
We can hear you down the back okay without the mics. So
Try it.
It's okay?
Try it.
All right. Yeah, I don't think it's working.
Ah, sorry, Sally.
No, that's
Let's project.
let's project the voice. Yeah, if it's like a pet. If we're constantly going, oh, ugh, I don't like you, then it'll turn around and bite you. But if you form that relationship and show it affection and love, it will be there for you. So I really believe that voice work starts with appreciating your own voice. I know in Australia, it's where we love being self-deprecating. You know, it's really funny because this whole conversation with my American clients, they're like, yeah, I love my voice. I'm like, yeah, we know, like, that's great. So there's a little bit of that comes into play with it. So we don't need to declare our love for our voice publicly everywhere we go. But inside, really think about the influence it's having, because that's how we can improve it as well. I have clients who go on podcasts or they do videos like this and they go, I am never looking at that again in my whole life. You might be in this situation as well. If you've done a webinar or something, you're like, okay, that's never being played. But you're denying yourself the opportunity of growth in that area and picking up some things that you can improve upon.
Yeah.
So I found, well, I've done like 278 podcast episodes and I edit them all myself. If I hated my voice, it would just be like self-inflicted pain every day. But when you do listen back to the recording objectively and you can go, oh, I didn't really clearly say that. Or I do have this weird filler word I didn't realise. And then you can change it and improve.
Yeah. Doing the filler voices, the words, totally. I'll do that, totally, or whatever. Hey, I want to talk to you about stage fright. So I done my first stand-up gig in about 11 months last night, and I had rehearsed probably about 40 or 50 times in front of the mirror, just talking, getting through this. And I thought, I've got it. Normally you see people, if you go and see amateur comedians, they write in their hands and that sort of thing. They call it the comics tattoo, and they're looking at their hands. But I was next up on the stage and I had to have a couple of minutes of the guy in front of me going, and I got up behind that curtain, Sally, and I was just like, oh shit, I don't even know how I'm going to start. And so I just started breathing, and I thought, oh my God, I was actually got terrified, I started shaking and all that sort of stuff. I was just wondering, what's your tips for stage fright? You know, some of these guys will have to speak at conferences and things like that. Just wondering if could share some of your tips for us.
Yeah, the breathing is great. So I run the BBB triangle. BBB. B for belief, B for breath, and B for body. So the belief statement is, yes, I've got this, I can do this. Whatever works for you. I've had rooms where people have said that their pep-up phrase is, yeah. Like, full stop. I'm like, okay, great. Like, so it's what works for you. That inner soundtrack, because our inner voice will sabotage or support our physical voice. So it's so important to have that strong. And then we get into our body. So we get into trouble and get stage fright and nerves and things all go downhill when we get too stuck in our head. So speaking isn't an intellectual activity, it's a physical sport. I often say speaking's a blood sport, right? And we need to be in our body because our voice is the instrument of the body. So if you've ever experienced overthinking and overstressing and like a mind blank and overanalyzing, that's because you're taking it too much to the head rather than being in the body. So like rolling the shoulders, you know, stretching like this. You might have seen Tony Robbins jumps up and down on his mini tramp backstage. I've, push-ups against the wall. I find squeezing of the bottom even, just really being physical will help bring you back down. And then it's the breath. So breathing low and deep. I say breathing, imagine your buttocks are your lungs, but breathe into them, not out of them. That's an impression you'd rather not leave. Yeah, because the breath gets high, like this. But if you breathe low and deep and really fill up the lungs, because if you trace down the length of your ribs, that's how far down your lungs go. So we really want to be making full use of that, because without breath, there is no voice. The breath is the fuel for the voice. And if we're shallow breathing or not getting enough air in, it's like putting a car on the racetrack with no fuel. So we've got to fuel up before we speak.
Yeah, I wish we chatted on Tuesday, because I was just behind that curtain and I was like, like I forgot how I'm going to start.
Well, you know you can call me.
Yeah. I should have called you from backstage, Sally.
Wouldn't have been the first time.
Yeah, but well, that's what I said to you today. You just go out. But just when I went out, I was like, do you know what? I'm going for it, and it just comes to you, and it just happens, and it was amazing. You know, like all that panic and worry for nothing. It was just what a brilliant feeling it was. I want to talk to you about breathing too, because you have lots of diagrams and how the breath works and how your lungs work and all that stuff. So when I was working with you, I didn't know this, but I couldn't breathe properly. I've only just really found out in the past year or two that I couldn't breathe at my nose. I went for singing lessons, and the girl kept going, what's wrong with you? You can sing, but you can't breathe properly? What's happening? And I went to see a specialist. Like, oh, your nose is completely blocked. So when I was reading, I got it repaired in September. So now I'm like, I can breathe, I can smell. Walking through that Valley bloody car park, I'm telling you, I was like, that'll be the last time I walk through there. But talk to us about the breath and your breathing, Sally. You know, why is it just so important to us?
As I mentioned, oxygen is what fuels your voice. If we were instruments, we'd be in the woodwind section, powered by air. And breathing in is also known as inspiration. Inspiration, expiration. So if we want to inspire others, we must first inspire ourselves. And almost every issue with voice comes down to the breath. So if you're not loud enough or projecting, haven't got enough breath. If you don't have the endurance, like you're trailing off at the end of sentences like that, you haven't got the breath under control.
Yeah.
If you're sounding a little bit crackly like this, you know, this kind of voice, this is what they call the voice of a lie, because the sound is actually hiding back here. So you want your voice to ride out on a wave of air because it sounds more honest. It was interesting during the pandemic with everybody with masks and kind of like, I don't want to breathe on you, the voice has really retreated back, which sounds like they're hiding. You know, some women, for example, or men too, will push the voice to the back of their throat like this to sound like they're more important. And I understand why, because we're told that deeper voices are more, you know, have more credibility, but we don't do it by pushing the sound back. We do it by pushing the sound down, like the walls of our chest, speaking with the heart. And so if we want to sound like we're connecting with people, we want them to breathe the air in that we're breathing out. I know it sounds a bit gross, but that's the connection we're making. And so if we haven't got the airflow, and bit technical here, I suppose, but we think on the in-breath and we speak on the out-breath. We breathe into fuel and then we speak on the breath out. So you'll see a lot of speakers, they will breathe out and then speak. They'll go, it's great to be here today. Really good, you know, so they're on empty. Or breathe in, hello, it's really great to be here today. Here I'm holding, so they'll breathe in and hold. So it's getting that wheel of I breathe in and then I breathe out as I'm speaking. Then I breathe in and breathe out as I'm speaking. And you can't breathe in while you're talking, only while you're pausing. So if you're somebody who is like, the sooner I get this finished, the sooner I can get off stage, and you're just going and going and going, you're not giving yourself that chance to refuel. Mm-hmm. So it's developing that great relationship with the pause. The pause is your friend. It allows you to breathe in. It allows the audience to have a bit of a spell. You know, a lot of people say no, a silence is like really awkward. And if I stop, then they'll think that I don't know what I'm talking about. And then they'll think I'm not good at my job. And by the end of the day, I would have lost my job, lost my house, lost my partner, and I'll be eating cat food out of a tin. I call that catastrophizing, which is what we often do. And it's another symptom of not using the breath. So I'd say if you take anything out of this work, is just to breathe.
Yeah, so when I was doing my singing coaching and lessons, that's what she was always saying, you know, so you're just not getting enough air. You're like, what's happening in here? And but now, that because I've done all that work and now I can breathe properly, you know, I'm starting to learn how to do it properly. But I probably have to go and this might sound really weird, but I think I'm going to have to go and find out how I can breathe properly, because I've been so used to not being able to breathe my whole life. Now that everything's opened up, and I'm like, wow, you know, like I can smell, I can take deep breaths and stuff like that. It's just,
yeah, they say that most of us are using less than 60% of our breathing capacity. And especially if you're just generally stressed and there's a lot going on, life is lifing, and there's just, general stress, we won't be breathing deep, we'll be breathing high. And we can't expect that, all of a sudden when we need to speak in front of an audience, then we'll be calm to breathe. So this is why this work it's life work, it's personal development work, because I've had clients who, a lawyer who came in and they were working ridiculous hours, and there was no choice to decrease the hours because they had the policy of bringing in new clients, like they wouldn't say no to a new client, and they couldn't increase their rate because it was industry standard. So the only way to be able to work more was to do these hours. And she was sleeping like 4 hours a night, it was really crazy. And then saying, and I want to be able to speak and sound relaxed. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do that with the current working hours. And she said, well, I can't change the working hours. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of a bit stumped. I was like, I don't know how I can help you. Because our voice really is a diagnostic for our life. And I definitely hear it. I've got my boyfriend Patrick up the back, and he can attest to this. There are days when my voice is not great because my mood is not great and there's a lot going on. And so what we can do is we can use our voice as a way to check in with how we're feeling. And also we can use our voice to change our state. So there was a study done that if you speak in a more joyful way, you will feel more joyful. So if you are feeling down, even if it's something negative, like, I can't believe that terrible email. How could that person write that? That was just horrific. It's terrible. Right? But by saying it in a joyful manner, it has been proven to help you feel better about the situation.
Hey, I'm going to help you with your manual handling training today.
And that's so relevant, because in health and safety there is this idea that, it's dry, it's technical, and who wants to see the safety manager? It's really not people's most exciting part of the day. Yeah. But what if it was? What if you acted like, how excited are people to hear this briefing or this information? Because if you're not excited about it, how can anybody else be excited about it? And I've had people say to me, I've been in front of some rooms that weren't really that keen. Like I was working with Schneider Electric on Toolbox Talks, and I was in Adelaide, and the 4-hour public speaking workshop started at 6 a.m. off the back of a night shift. Could you imagine how thrilled they were? But they wanted to include everybody in the training. So here they are, the back of a night shift, 6 a.m, and here I am delivering this training. So that's when I was like, oh God, I know that you must really, really be pleased to see me right now. And then I made the 4 hours 3 hours, and bribed with chocolate and a whole lot of...
That sounds like safety training, actually. Cut the hours down.
A lot of other things, but then really got into it because I am passionate about the work that I do. I do believe that you can change lives and organisations through the way you communicate and the way that you speak. And at the end of that workshop, one guy who I couldn't really crack, like I love in an audience when you just I'm like, I'm going to crack them. People say, well, how do you go with people who are skeptical? I'm like, I love it. It's like game on. You like, go on, underestimate me. And I'm like trying to win them over. And I think I kind of cracked him by the end, but he said to me, oh, look, Sal, I don't really know about this stuff, but you're very passionate about it. And I took that as a win.
Yeah.
Because I was like, thank you. Yes, I am. And if you didn't pick up anything else, but you picked up my passion, then that's great.
Yeah, totally. I'd done some safety training a couple of weeks ago there, and the guy came up to me and said, this better not be crap. Like, I've done heaps of safety training, it's always crap. And I was like, challenge accepted. And afterwards he was like, oh man, like you have this like you have this weird approach, like nobody makes you laugh during safety training. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, agreeing and disarming is a really good technique. So I often say you want to surprise and delight. So the reason you'll have skeptical audiences is because they've got you sorted already. And actually in Australia, it's like that. So in America, they love you until proven otherwise. In Australia, they are skeptical of you until proven otherwise, which is kind of good. Like we're more kind of discerning. We're like, all right, let's see. Let's just, we don't go in there with open arms necessarily. So if the expectation is like that 6 o'clock workshop, they were thinking this is going to be bad. I can't believe I have to stay for this. I can't believe it's 4 hours. She looks pretty fresh. Well, I was probably, there's a lot of makeup that morning. So I straight away just said, yeah, this is this must be a pretty terrible morning for you. Like, I can imagine how thrilled you are to be doing this. And in safety, you can use this as well by saying, if you want to be sarcastic, I know you have been waiting all day for this briefing, for this information. I can tell this is why you got out of bed this morning. You know, so you've got to work beside the crowd, or you go straight into it. You say, look, I know that you've had some bad experiences with safety training, and I know that you've been burnt, or you feel like, what's the point of it? You feel like we're just doing the work of safety rather than safety work.
Yeah.
I've actually worked with a lot of people in the industry, so I've learned all these things, which is really interesting. And by agreeing, they don't have an enemy. Like, often people are looking for an enemy, but if you just agree, it's a good technique. Instead of no but, just yes and. Like, I've had someone say to me, oh, this is like, why are we doing this training? Yes, and I can see why you feel like that. But we're all here, so let's make the most of it. Just took the sting out of it, because he was like, he wanted to like get into a bit of an argument.
Yeah, totally. Yes, and.
Yes,
that's
and.
The improv stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's the improv stuff.
It is, yes, and.
Do you know, other work that I do, like improv, stand-up, I've been to the Toastmasters, I've worked for you. That sort of make my safety training better and my communications better. So I'm glad to hear that there is a bunch of safety people that are working with you, because it means that we're all trying to improve and get better at delivering our messages. Because I have seen some boring bastards try to do safety messages. So it's good that they're working with you. Sally, I wasn't going to do this, but I kind of feel like you're up for it. And I wonder if you guys have got any questions for Sally. Anything?
So you said you wrote the book in 2 weeks. It took a while to cut it down. What did you cut that you wanted to keep in?
Oh, nothing really. I wrote it, I think because I used to be a TV reporter and we were used to writing like stories in 1 minute. So the hardest thing for me is I wrote a new line for every single sentence, and the editor was like, this is going to be too many pages. And so she was putting it all up together. So there was, and I wanted it to be a short book. So I don't think I sacrificed anything.
That's good.
After the extra bonus part.
How do you go, mate? Sorry.
Took longer to edit it rather than cut things, didn't you? You said you wrote it in 2 weeks, but
Yeah, and so
you didn't cut anything,
the
you
editing.
just represented
Yeah. It was more like the editing was more around. Does that belong there? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was more changing rather than cutting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too much of a book reader, but I'm a book listener, and I see you've got an Audible. It's an e-book yet, so it's a voice.
Audiobook, yeah. So it's on Audible. It's also on Spotify. So if you've got Spotify Premium, it's there for free, and it absolutely is. And small flex. I recorded the entire book in one setting, 6 hours.
Sick.
Yeah, I took myself into the studio, and the reason I share that is because the reason I could do it is because I used every technique that I share in the book. The one mistake I made was had some lunch. So it's after you eat, it's hard for your voice to come back.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, like this is real vocal fitness. And
Why? Why does it after you eat impact your voice?
I don't know. I guess it's kind of like because you've got the vocal cords and then the esophagus, it's all kind of the same area. Just take some time.
Eating planning, so not after lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, don't eat right before you need to present. Planning your food for a big presentation is something you need to think about. If you've got a big presentation, it's like a plane taking off. You don't arrive at the airport when the plane goes. You backtrack to when do I need to get through security, when do I need to get the Uber, when do I need to start packing? And it's the same thing for big presentations. I've worked with executives who have a big presentation for the board, but they've got meetings right up until the board presentation. I'm like, that's craziness. And they're like, oh, people book into my calendar. I'm like, well, boundaries. You need to act like if it's a flight, you would not be able to do that and put that preparation aside. Because a lot of the professional speakers or people that make it look easy, there is preparation that goes into it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
One more? One more? Don't you go,
What's your
Sonia?
background? Like, where do you cut? Like, I don't know enough. Sorry.
So I started speech and drama at the age of 9, and actually I dedicated it to my speech and drama teacher. I'm from Wollongong, and I did a lot of drama all through high school, Shakespeare and all that kind of thing, and then I got my first job at 96.5 Wave FM Wollongong and discovered that you don't read commercial news the same way as you do a Shakespearean recital. It doesn't go down well. I started off by going, "Good morning, it's 5:30, I'm Sally Prosser," and the boss is like, people are just getting the kids off to school, like, you know, and that was a really good lesson to me because it taught me how to change your voice for the audience. I say you want to be able to take your voice from the bolo to the boardroom, you know, as adaptable as you can be. So then I was a TV news reporter. So I worked in Rockhampton for Channel 7 and then in Brisbane for 10, 7 and the ABC. And then I crossed to the dark side where I met Steve. So I went to Urban Utilities in the PR team. So they say the dark side when you go from journalism to PR. And I was the spokesperson for things you should and shouldn't flush. Only flush the 3 Ps, the glamour girl for sewerage. And I did get on the project talking about Australia's first poo-powered car, which, you know, was a little bit of a flex. And then started this business about 7 years ago. And it started from emceeing Ozwater, which is the big water conference.
Okay.
And our CEO, Louise Dudley, had asked me to MC the final day, and they'd given me these notes, and I was just like, I'm going to read that, you know. And so I just went up there and did it. And then afterwards, a lot of people said to me, "Oh, you know, where did you get hired from?" And I wouldn't recommend this now, but at the time I was really diminishing it. I was like, "Oh no, I'm just in the media team. Like, this is not what I do." And Louise said to me, "Sal, you should do that full time." And it got my mind thinking about how I could really use all my training to do this kind of work.
Can I ask a question?
One more,
Thank you.
and then we're coming back.
I'm really interested in some of the things that you were talking about. Like, how do you balance, I think, what competing things like, you said you tailor your voice to the boardroom, to, you know, the crib room, right? And I think we all do that, right? But when people hear me on the phone, and then when they meet me in person, they're like, what the, you know, they're just like, because I'm quite professional on the phone, but in person I'm quite... No, it's true story, right? You know, and I think a few people here have met me, like I go bearded, not bearded, right? But so how do you keep that, but coming back to that whole point about, I know you'll find that I take a long time to get to the point. When you said about the truth, a well-delivered truth is better than a a well-delivered lie is better than a poorly delivered truth. So how do you balance that conflict or that discrepancy, say, where you're trying to tailor the message to different people, but you're often in the same room as people, so people hear a different message or a different voice? Did that make sense?
Yeah. So just be careful.
It makes sense to me. Like,
yeah. A well-delivered lie is more believed than a poorly delivered truth. So I wouldn't say that it's better. I'd say we're all truth tellers here. When you've got a mixed audience, it's challenging.
Yeah.
If you've got a mixed audience with mixed levels, it is challenging to do that. Which is why in organisations I do suggest splitting the audience if you can. Like even in the workshops I do, I'll do them one level of management and then I'll do another level on a different time. Because often if you have them together, you won't really get truth because everyone's worried about what the other person is doing. So if you're in a position like that where you can split, I'd say yes. Sometimes you've got the whole organisation, which means you're just holding the company voice print in a way, like what is the sound for everyone. From an individual perspective, think about your voice like a wardrobe. A lot of people are just, and maybe you're in this position, you've thought, I haven't really thought about my voice so much till tonight. It's like we're just playing one note on the piano. It's like just having activewear in your wardrobe, which might be great for going for a walk or work from home or something like that. But if you were going to a black tie ball or something else, you might not make the best impression. So you've got different outfits for different needs, but it's all you. Here's the key. It's all, no one has the same wardrobe. It's all just parts of yourself. And this is why this training and this book's really great, because it teaches you how to be able to expand that wardrobe and be able to choose the voice that's fit for purpose and rise to meet the occasion.
Yeah, that's such, what you were saying there was just such an amazing point. Like when I was delivering my training with the frontline teams, like my boss would be absolutely affronted if he heard the language that I was using with them, because I was swearing, right? That's what they're swearing at me, I was swearing at them. It's like Patrick going to the Harley Davidson club. You come back and you swear a lot.
Yes, Patrick features in the book.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. But yeah, that's a good point. That happens to me a lot too. People go, "What the?"
I think it's about credibility. I think, like you said, sometimes you talk to the, I know I do it. Like if I'm talking to the guys in the field when I'm doing a walk, and it's, you're dropping F-bombs like it's confetti. But when I'm talking to my boss, my CEO, because I report directly to the CEO, then I'm halfway through a conversation going, I'm really sorry I said that. And it's really, like, I think the wardrobe thing you're saying is really good, because you do have to tailor, change your voice, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Like, people say...
It's not about lying, it's just about, I guess credibility or...
It's no more lying than me saying, hang on, I saw you in your activewear yesterday, why are you in a suit today? You're lying.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm not lying, it's just, I just have different clothes.
It's just hard,
right.
It's harder to change your voice though than change your clothes, right? Do you think, or without training?
Potentially, it's like the piano. Once you learn that you've got this breadth of expression, and in the workshops and the work we do, you learn how to use the different parts of your voice. Remembering the reason that we're speaking to connect. Rapport opens the door. I say rapport opens the door. It's no point having this polished, nice message if people haven't opened their ears to hear it. Which is why when you're speaking to people at different levels, you've got to speak their language. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what you say; they're not open to it.
Yeah.
And so people, I've been in this position as well, where people have been a bit critical of the way that I've spoken somewhere. But I'm like, but I wouldn't speak like that if I was in front of you. It was the environment that I was
totally.
in front of.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, we're going to speak differently at work to at home to different people that are around. Like, that's life, right? And it's knowing that we're not changing necessarily for other people. We're just using a wider range. And when you discover you can do that, your voice becomes the most powerful tool that you have. And especially with the rise of AI, this is how we're going to keep our jobs and keep our value, by being a human people want to connect with. You can go into the computer now and say, I want a middle-aged blonde woman to give us a keynote about voice. And it will come up, this AI person giving a keynote. And in the future, conferences will become mainly AI, and you have to be really good to be a human up on that stage to be paid for. And so it's like, you don't want to have an AI bot that can communicate better than you with more heart than you, do you?
I know, it's amazing.
That sounds ideal for people who are not extroverts. If you're introverted, if somebody else can talk for you, that would be excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, mate.
He's a really good coach. You should look
at the end, we'll talk about how you can work with Sally. Definitely. We'll come back to the questions.
Yeah, but also, introverts, extroverts, arguably introverts are better speakers because they're more intentional and they're more focused, and they actually say things like, you and I, we're more extroverted.
I can hold my beer.
Yeah. But anyway, a lot of people say, oh, I'm an introvert, therefore I'm not a great public speaker. It's completely no correlation between that. Yeah.
Mate, we're going to talk about the voice formula. All right, so I have to read it, right? Vibrations, openness, intonation, clarity and expression. What's the most important one for the people in this room, I think?
They're all important. I'd say the biggest bang for buck is expression. So change your pace, change your pitch. If there's an increase or a decrease, change your volume, mix it up. Imagine that you're on a kids' TV show just to keep the animation going. The easiest one to follow is the O for openness. So it's open shoulders, open jaw, open arms as well. So if you're in front of people and it depends if you're cold or something, that's all right, but this is not great. And even for questions, rather than going yes is a big difference, because this is open, that's Like, this is collaborative, this is more demanding, this is invitational. So the openness one is a really easy one to say, how am I more open? Because often when we're fearful, as I describe as well, you go into the fetal position, rocking a bottle of Merlot on the couch, which is how I described the feeling was when I, had some incidents where I was talking on TV and then the CEO is calling and I'm like, oh God, what did I say?
Yeah. They're a chatty bunch up there, mate, aren't they? Like, I can hear them chatting away.
They can't hear you.
Yeah.
That's not me, by the way.
No, I can just like I can hear like chatting.
So this book, it's a real mix between storytelling and technical exercises. So if you're interested in this kind of work, then there's lots of exercises that you can have a go at.
It's a cracking read. A couple more questions, and then we'll
You've got lots of questions.
Yeah, I know, but you've been amazing. So that I knew I wouldn't need as many as this, but I wanted to. But there's one that I put in there, Sally, and I don't. It wouldn't impact this group because this is not a boarding group. But sometimes safety people we find it hard to get a message across because we probably just speak monotone. I just wonder if you've got any advice for that the guys could give to their colleagues, because it won't impact them, to really get that message with a bit of energy through it.
Yeah, the audience will feel how you're feeling. So if you're feeling a bit bored by your content and not excited, that's what will transfer across. So just pump yourself up, give yourself a bit of a little bit of a pep talk, roll your shoulders and be like, yeah, this is going to be the best thing ever. And then you'll naturally be able to change your pitch. So I can go up, I can go down. You don't need to be able to sing do, re, mi like Julie Andrews, but you want to be able to go high and be able to go low, because if you're just on the one pitch all the time, it's proven that it'll put you into a lullaby. But rather than think, oh gosh, I need to go up, I need to go down, just going, I need to be excited about this topic is going to be the easiest thing to stop that boredom coming in.
What was it? You used an expression, was like bring the energy, or don't absorb the energy,
set the energy, don't get the energy. Yeah, really important. Set the energy, don't get the energy. People say, oh, but you feed off the crowd. That's great if it's a great crowd. I'm doing a TEDx at UQ in a couple of weeks, and the TEDx crowd, like, people are paying money on their Saturday to go and watch talks. Like, it's a dream audience. They want to be there. But chances are maybe your audience doesn't really want to be there. They're not really happy about what they've got to do or what you're about to say. And so if you're feeding off that energy, it's not going to do you any favours. But if you go in and set the energy, set the temperature, and they can pick up on you, it's like you imagine that we all have our own Wi-Fi signal and you want everybody to clock into yours. Definitely when it comes to safety culture, you'll see there are people who are influencers. There's people that will set the tone for how everyone else feels about something. And they're the people with the strong Wi-Fi. Because, if one person thinks this is all bullshit training, then everyone else will agree with them. So it's about identifying, well, I need to be stronger than that signal and bring everyone to where I am. Yeah.
Sally, if they have to read one chapter of your book, if they're so busy that they can't read your book after they buy it, what chapter did they read?
Yeah, chapter 13. Chapter 13 is called Speak Your Blueprint. So this book is a little bit woo-woo. That's why I've also got oracle cards there, which are great. You can have a look at them afterwards. The chapter 13 is all about how we can manifest things with our voice. And it's pretty much if you say so. If you say, I'm never going to be good at speaking, no one's ever going to listen, everything's always shit, nothing ever works out for me. If you say so. So the way that you're speaking, not just at work, but every day, what you're saying and the way you're saying it does have an impact on your experience of the world.
Yeah, no, amazing. I wanted to ask you about meeting Oprah.
Yes, I handed my book to Oprah Winfrey on the streets of Brisbane. It was, can you believe it? It was crazy because she doesn't take any gifts. Even people who paid for the VIP thing weren't allowed to hand her anything. But I had a big book launch at Blackbird in the city. Yes, it was great. And Katrina Blowers from Channel 7, she was the host for it. And as I was coming up, she said, oh, it was a bit of an Oprah moment. And I said, oh, well, I do hear that she's in town. Anyway, the next day, she was on the story of Oprah being in town. And she's like, oh, look, Sal, it's a long shot. She's gone for a walk. Do you want to come try to give her your book? And I'm in Tenerife. And because it was like the day after the big launch party, the women in the room will understand me. I was like on a home day. You know what I mean? Like it was the no, like no bra, hair back, skincare on. Like it was like the I'm not leaving the house kind of setup. But I had written a note for Oprah in a book because I'm a bit of a manifester like that. So of course I just actually had a letter written to Oprah in the book. So I grabbed Oprah's book and I ran outside. I ordered the Uber and then started running towards where the Uber was coming, like leapt out into the front of the road. And I said, you need to get me to Oprah Winfrey. And he was awesome. He was like, all right, let's do it. And he drove like a maniac. And so I've like stumbled out in the streets of the South Bank. Probably I think people have thought, look what the cat dragged in here. And I thought, no, I'm not going to miss Oprah because I was in the bathroom for 5 minutes doing mascara or something like that. So I didn't want to hesitate. And sure enough, she was walking down the street and I just had this adrenaline shot. I walked straight up to her and I was going to see her that night. And I said, Oprah, my mum and I really enjoyed watching you growing up and we're coming to your show tonight. And that's when she said, oh, and what's your mother's name? I felt this wave of formality come over me. My mum's name is Sue, but of course I said, Susan. Because I was like in front of the Queen. And I've got this book, you use your voice and you really inspire others to use theirs. And she goes, voice print. Oh, voice print. That's a nice idea. And pose for the cameras with my book. And it's such a good photo. I think people think it's AI.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, because it looked like I'd put the book in her hands.
Yeah,
but sure
I saw
enough,
all of your socials. It was amazing.
Yeah.
We kind of done that here, didn't we? Was it last year when we manifested Murray from the Wiggles? when he had Greg's up here, we had Murray from the Wiggles downstairs. And they came.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool actually. Yeah, it was a good.
But I haven't manifested Oprah's book club yet. But I am in the Safety Differently book club.
Thank you.
You know.
All right, one more question, then we'll let you away. I think I know the answer to this. We can't let our guests leave without talking about music and what their favourite songs are and what would get you up on the dance floor. So tell me, what would get you up on the dance floor?
Oh, well, of course, Taylor. I went and watched her in Wembley. She was amazing. But also, I've just bought Lily Allen tickets. So the Lily Allen album is absolutely awesome. And I did fight the Great War for Hilary Duff tickets as well today to no avail. So I'm a big fan of empowered divas.
I was very impressed that you went to Wembley you flew to London to see Taylor Swift. That was pretty amazing.
That was one of those crazy things where I just thought, they compare it to, could you imagine if you're a sports fan and your team was playing in the grand final and they never had a chance to ever make it again? It was like the only time they were ever playing. That's what it was kind of like for me.
Yeah, totally. I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, Celtic's playing that, I'm off.
So just
actually,
do it.
Don't stop.
A couple of weeks ago, I was walking through Sydney Airport, and I'm a massive fan of the Bare Naked Ladies from Canada, and there was a lead singer of the Bare Naked Ladies, and he was just walking around. Nobody was recognising him, so I just felt, Ed. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh my god, and I started shaking. I was like terrible. But what a moment that was really, it really was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky when it comes to meeting people like that. But Sally, sorry, that's enough. How can people work with you?
Look, I'd really appreciate if you'd have a look at the book.
It's amazing, by the way. Yeah, actually, I read it in the plane. So.
Yeah, it's an easy read, and I've got some cards here where you just need to scan the QR code, and on there, that's how you can choose what you'd like to get, and then just come and see me, and I'll be able to give it to you. So I might just get Josh to hand those around if you'd like to see that.
She would like these back if you don't mind.
Yes.
And look, it's all right. And if you have a team that you look after and you think they might benefit from some communication training, which is public speaking differently, just like safety differently, then hit me up and might be able to help. And also, if anyone's speaking at a conference or anything coming up, just knowing that this kind of service exists. People often say to me, I didn't even know that voice coaching was a thing. But it definitely is. And it's something that you will benefit your life in ways more than just being a better presenter.
Now I can say cow.
Now you can say cow.
Everybody, Sally Prosser.